The government says it plans to resume talks with the student leaders behind the citywide pro-democracy protests.
Chief Secretary Carrie Lam said 5 representatives from each side will meet for 2 hours on Tuesday, and the session could be chaired by the head of Lingnan University. Emily Siu reports.
Chief Secretary Carrie Lam announced this afternoon that the government plans to resume talks with student leaders behind the civil disobedience movement as early as Tuesday.
This dialogue is now likely to take place next Tuesday afternoon. In fact, this is the earliest of 3 days that we have given to the Federation of Students. The meeting is expected to take place for about 2 hours. It will be live broadcast, but we will not provide for public audiences to attend the meeting. The venue is going to be the Academy of Medicine building in Wangzhoukhang, subject to confirmation later.
Lam's announcement came as Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying said on Thursday that the government will resume talks with students on how to end the civil disobedience crisis, which is entering its 4th week. His bid came after a meeting planned for last Friday was cancelled by the government on the grounds that the students were escalating their protest action. But unlike last time, Lam said both the government and students managed to agree on getting a third party to chair the talks.
So I went back to approach the heads of the universities and institutions, and they have nominated the convener of the heads of universities committee, who is Professor Leonard Zhang, the president of the Lingnan University. So I have already approached Professor Zhang, and when he comes back to Hong Kong, we will have a detailed discussion.
5 representatives from each side will attend the meeting. Besides Lam, Justice Chief Rimsky-Yoon, the Secretary and Undersecretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs, Raymond Tam and Lau Kong-wah, as well as Edward Yao, who heads the Chief Executive's office. The Federation said it has nothing to add on the venue or who should chair the talks, and has already selected 5 key members to attend the meeting. Emily Siu, ATV News.
There was total chaos in Mongkok last night when protesters clashed with police as they regained control of a strategic junction.
This came after police cleared them from the same spot early yesterday morning. Winner Wang reports.
It was mayhem in Mongkok. Determined to regain their protest camp, which they lost yesterday morning, protesters arrived in their thousands last night. The surge began at around 7 p.m., and by 2 a.m., police estimated they numbered around 9,000. Around 8 p.m., police were forced to close a northbound lane on Nathan Road just over 12 hours after they reopened it. This was due to the huge amount of people spilling out of the designated protest zones. Tensions were high as pro-democracy and anti-Occupy protesters heckled each other. But most of the battles were with police, scattered across various junctions near or along Nathan Road. Shops in the area quickly lowered their shutters. Officers formed human chains to try to keep protesters off the roads. But they challenged the police cordon lines using umbrellas as shields. Officers retaliated with pepper spray and batons. People fell down in the middle of the chaos. Multiple arrests were made. At around midnight, officers found themselves outnumbered and surrounded and were forced to retreat. The protesters celebrated their apparent victory by tearing down metal fences the police had set up. At around daybreak, things finally began to die down. But scattered standoffs continued into the morning. In the end, protesters managed to regain their territory and even expand it to multiple Mongkok junctions. The points include a section of Nathan Road between Dundas Street and Mongkok Road, Argyle Street between Nathan Road and Reclamation Street, the junctions of Sayong Choi Street and Argyle, as well as other small intersections on Argyle and Nathan. Police arrested 26 people during the clashes, 23 men and 3 women between the ages of 21 and 52. They've been charged with assault, criminal damage, and possession of dangerous weapons. 15 officers were injured, mostly by umbrellas. Over in Admiralty, dozens of riot police with dogs forced back protesters trying to block traffic again on Longwell Road outside the chief executive's office. The same area saw major scuffles 2 nights ago when protesters used barricades to block the road. At a press briefing today, police said the dogs were used for crowd control and they may be used again if needed. Winna Wong, ATV News.
Both the security chief and the city's top cop had harsh words for the protesters today, following last night's violent clashes in Mongkok.
But the protesters occupying roads in the busy shopping hub have vowed to stay until the end. Emily Sue reports.
Peace and calm returned to Mongkok today after last night's violent clashes between pro-democracy protesters and police, who were trying to clear up blocked roads in the usually bustling shopping district. Both sides show signs of fatigue after the night-long battle, but officers at the main juncture of Nathan Road and Argyle Street were armed with shields as a precaution. Although the occupied area has expanded since last night's operation, there were large gaps due to a lack of supporters. But those who stayed behind remained defiant, describing their own fight in Mongkok as the key to the entire civil disobedience movement.
Mongkok must be cleared in the police force eyes, because I think they will just clear up Mongkok first and then go to Admiralty.
I think Admiralty, we are just surrounding the government complex. There's no pressure to them. But if we occupy Mongkok, we're actually creating some impact to the community and then arousing all the awareness from people living around here. That means the government has to do something.
But their nearly 3-week occupation has aroused more than awareness. Sporadic arguments took place between demonstrators and locals who are fed up with them taking over their neighborhood. Police stepped in to pull them apart. The protesters, meanwhile, have mixed feelings about whether their presence is affecting nearby businesses. But even if they are, they say it's worth it.
I tell you a true story. I have asked the small shop, the restaurant, they said there's no effect, no bad effect.
It worries me about whether we will lose some support because we do affect more. But it eventually is a necessary evil, because without this, we cannot even talk with the government.
These broken umbrellas are not just a reminder of the violence here last night, but also symbolic of the shattered state of affairs in Hong Kong. What is seriously worrying now is whether our government is capable of ending this crisis. Security Chief Lai Tong-kwok this afternoon condemned last night's clashes in Mongkok, saying they were provoked by radical activists. Police Commissioner Andy Tsang echoed Lai in an angrier tone.
You may think that your illegal acts have prevented the police in going about our duties, disrupted our deployment, and even forced us to retreat. Superficially, this may be the case. But let me tell you this. These illegal acts are undermining the rule of law, undermining what Hong Kong always relied upon to succeed.
Despite Lai and Tsang's concerns, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying did not look too worried as he handed out this year's Bohemia Star Awards at Government House today. Meanwhile, at the protesters' makeshift headquarters in Admiralty, the mood was also calm and peaceful. Hundreds of tents were put up for those who continued to besiege the government's headquarters. One of the 3 Occupy Central leaders, Chan Kin-man, today posted an article in Chinese-language newspaper Mingpao, saying they will turn themselves in when the day comes. The sociology professor condemned the government for taking 3 weeks to arrange talks with student leaders.
If the government can respond timely, then this occupation shouldn't have lasted for so long. And if the government have any determination to end this occupation, it's not through police force, but by negotiations.
Chan added his two fellow Occupy leaders, Benny Tai and Chu Yu-ming, will not resist arrest when the mass sit-in is over and will not defend themselves at court either. Emily Siu, ATV News.
Hong Kong's top policeman Andy Tsang told protesters today to wake up and realize the damage they're doing to the city in a strongly worded statement against the ongoing civil disobedience movement.
Police strongly condemn those who participated in the unlawful assembly, charged police cordon, and illegally occupied major thoroughfares in Mong Kok earlier this morning and last night. Such behavior are neither peaceful nor non-violence. They seriously undermined public order and seriously jeopardized public safety. The police have been extremely tolerant of the unlawful acts of the demonstrator in the past 2 to 3 weeks. We did this in the hope that they can calm down and express their view in an otherwise peaceful, rational, and lawful manner. Unfortunately, these protesters chose to carry on with their unlawful acts, including unlawful acts which are even more radical, more violent. I have a message from the bottom of my heart. These illegal acts are hurting Hong Kong, hurting our society. They seriously disrupt the daily life of our people. Students, workers, businessmen, people requiring medical attention, people from all walks of life. To these demonstrators, to these protesters, you may think that your illegal acts have prevented the police in going about our duties, disrupted our deployment, and even forced us to retreat. Superficially, this may be the case. But let me tell you this. These illegal acts are undermining the rule of law, undermining what Hong Kong always relied upon to succeed. I urge you to think about this. If from now on, the police failed to uphold law effectively, who stand to benefit and who stand to gain?